an overdose. This is Pembroke, Ontario.
Carrie.
Went in here foaming at the mouth and shaking.
Everywhere you look, it's overdoses.
Wake up, man.
You do not know what it's like to live on the street, have no roof over your head.
Dispatch call 4600.
Do you think first responders will see him?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Court Addict with ATX Alli and Bill and Nitty. How are you doing, Nitty?
Hi, Nitty.
I'm good.
Everybody, let us know if you can hear
Am I
everybody.
lagging for you?
I lag more than anything, so I couldn't tell if you were lagging or not.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
If you still have YouTube open, YouTube lags like 30 seconds behind, so make sure you have like the YouTube part closed except for the chat option. I do the chat pop out, so you can pop that out and then close down YouTube with having that chat screen up. That's me though. If you're on a computer.
Hey, Linus, let us know how the sound is better. Let us know how everything's working on. Hey, Nancy's here. I missed you earlier, Nancy.
I don't think she's here. I think she was here and is now gonna be back.
Okay, so
Yeah. I need to put the Discord links too. So hold on a second. I'll let everybody know we're live.
Okay, I think everybody else knows we're live. Hey, Lena says hi, Nitty. Can you see the screen, Nitty? Can you see what's going on our screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, according to Linus, everything's good. So I can't do a stream. I can't do a stream with one guest without it echoing, but I can do it with two without echoing. So hell yeah!
Yay!
All right,
Success.
Rivette saying hey. So just give everybody a heads up. Nitty reached out, or me and Nitty were talking after I saw some comments that he had made about filing a motion, and so I had reached out to Nitty and was like, hey man. Get up with me. I want to just ask questions about it because I'm curious. And he got to talking a little bit about what happened, and I quickly just said, "Hey, let's figure out how to get on. Let's figure out how to get online and do this." And Nitty was really receptive, and so here we are. Nitty, you want to tell us a story? Tell us who you are, and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm Nitty. I'm just a kind of average dude in my late 30s. I do a YouTube channel, but it's not safe for faith, and sometimes it goes into politics, so we won't talk about it here. And I work a average job. I'm a dad. I have a couple kids, and so I'm pretty much busy with that and work.
Okay. Later on, we'll talk about the YouTube channel and we'll talk about all that stuff because I certainly don't mind you putting your link up in there. I'll just tell everybody right at the beginning of the conversation, I kind of said, hey, let's stay out of politics and religion because in the end, we all have our beliefs and we all have our political thoughts and we all continue to want to be friends here. I personally hate that we can't talk about politics publicly. Me and Alli will talk about politics behind the scenes, punch each other in the face about politics and fight it out. But we do it there. We don't do it. We don't do it on here because in our reality, people don't want to be adults anymore about politics. It's become too personal.
Bill doesn't like getting beat up by a girl on camera, so that's mostly the reason we do it off screen.
That does seem like to me. So what did you have to file a motion about?
Okay, so let me, I guess, start from the beginning. Last year, in the early fall, I had something happen out in the front of my house. And it drew my neighbor's attention, and they contacted law enforcement about it. Nobody was hurt. It was just something loud, unusual, and they interpreted things a particular way, and so they called law enforcement on me. And I was arrested. I was taken to Jackson Pike in Columbus, which apparently is like one of the worst places to go in Franklin County.
What state are you in?
I'm sorry?
What state are you in?
Ohio.
Ohio. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so I was arraigned. When was I arraigned? I think it was a Monday. Yeah. And my wife came and the judge gave me a PR bond. So that was great. Um, and I was just on that, community control PR bond until my case. Um, it's like I'm in probation, so it's in that preliminary closed state. It took about 2.5 months to go through that process. Um, I really feared incarceration because I am a dad and I love my children very much. And I work a job that I would not be able to return to with the charges I was facing. And so instead of gambling with a jury trial, because that is a gamble, I took,
Absolutely.
I took an offer from the state that as long as I comply with all the terms of my probation and I wait a year, I can get it removed from my record entirely. So, um, the state, I'm guessing, didn't believe they could win, but I still didn't want to gamble it. So it was a really good deal, um, to be honest. And so, it's been a rough experience, like overall. Um, I was completely unfamiliar with the legal and justice system of this country until that, really. Like, I've gotten speeding tickets, um, pulled over as like a college kid, nothing, serious at all. I never even disrupted the public at some protest or something. Like, pretty
Well,
easygoing life.
that's a good thing, though. It's good that
Mhm.
you're not very experienced in it. When a defendant goes up there and says, "Oh no, I've been playing this game for 20 years. I know how you guys work." You want to go to a judge and you want to say, "Hey, I haven't had this sort of experience. I want to navigate my way through it the safest way possible."
Yep.
And do you feel that they gave you a deal? You mentioned that you don't think they had a strong case on you. Do you think it was a
Mhm.
money thing for them, like they didn't want to waste their time really digging in, or do you think it just wasn't worth their time?
Um, well, the person who called uh, the situation in to the dispatchers, they didn't know what color pants or shirt I was wearing. So what they saw, what they could report of having seen, could be very questioned.
Right.
Um, and
Well,
the whole thing was, they didn't really see me that up close. And so the state was like, well, it's kind of he said, she said kind of deal. Um, yeah.
now do
So
you know these neighbors?
barely.
Okay. Yeah, and then that's I've seen all of my neighbors. I wave at my neighbors. I couldn't tell you any of their names. It's not that world anymore. I'm
Yeah,
sure
this
you.
one pretty much lives in their house and works on their motorcycle. That's like it.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, and there's a couple of different types of motorcycle people. Some are the really cool ones, and some are those kind.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, you got the different personality kinds. Well, yeah, I told you about a story in Florida. Whenever I couldn't have been any more than 18 or 19. I think I was 19. A friend of mine had gotten married young also, and him and his wife were arguing, and he was going to go take a drive to cool off. And she says, "If you leave the house, I'm calling 911." And so he called 911 and handed her the phone, and he left. And when he got back, I think he just went down the road just to cool off. And whenever he got back, the police were there, and he went to jail because in Florida, this was in the 90s in Florida, someone's going to jail if they're called for domestic violence. If
Yep.
if everybody says they're cool,
That's
somebody's still going to jail.
Hmm.
yeah, that's the law in a lot of states where if it's domestic violence, they have to take somebody. And usually
Well,
charges are dropped afterwards, but yeah, that's a lot. That's a law pretty much everywhere.
Yep.
if nothing else, like if let's say something bad were to have been happened, it was good to have that separation. In other words, because maybe in his case, we're going to use his case as an example because he's not here. Maybe his wife was terrified of him, and him being there was enough for her to say, no, nothing's going wrong. And so
Yeah.
maybe getting him away from the situation. But did you find everyone to be professional on it? Were the police officers professional, or did they kind of rough you up? Did they kind of push you around a little bit?
So I have bipolar, I think, 2. And so it's very difficult for me to operate very coherently in high stress situations. And I will self deprecate a lot. And I think with what the officers were doing and saying to me, it was not good. I didn't try to, get in an altercation with the officers. I felt like I was saying things that I probably shouldn't have said at all.
You're just nervous and don't know what to say. It's a hard situation.
I shouldn't have talked, right?
Yeah.
And so I
It's
had
so
one
hard when you're
officer.
confronted with that though. You're trying to be like cooperative and talk, and then everybody tells you not to talk, but you feel like if you don't say something or talk, then you're being disrespectful and escalated. So it's a hard situation when you're faced with it right there. It's really hard
Right.
to navigate. So I totally understand what you mean.
Yeah,
Well-
and I had one officer stay with me while another, two others were doing their thing, and which, interestingly enough, that one was not one of my arresting officers, but he stood there and was saying things like, "You know what you did. You're a terrible person. I just want people like you to be eaten for breakfast in jail. You deserve to be locked up for a long time." All kinds of stuff to just
That's what
break
the
me
cops were
down.
telling you?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Wow.
it is Ohio, though.
Yeah, and they were saying stuff like, "I deal with people like you all the time, and I want the worst to happen to them."
I'm sorry you went through
So,
that. That's awful.
Well, and that right there may
and what
have.
sucks is, they weren't my arresting officer, so any body cam footage, they're not going to keep it because he wasn't my arrester, right?
Yeah.
So I can't prove it.
I mean,
And in
even if you did,
Ohio,
like them saying that doesn't really accomplish. I mean, it's
they're allowed
unprofessional.
to
But
lie
what
to you
you're
and
gonna write
stuff
up?
whenever.
Yeah.
And so, what was I going to say?
I don't know.
Forgot what I was going to say. They don't really have to Mirandize you either if you had
Mm-hmm.
willingly talked to the police before they take you in.
Right. They only
Which I
have
didn't know.
Yeah. The one of the judges I really like a lot, Judge Oakley, calls Miranda rights TV rights, because everybody who watches TV thinks that that's a right you actually have, and it's not. And so, yeah, and unless they're going to interrogate you and use what you're saying, they don't have to ask you anything, or they don't have to tell you anything as far as giving you rights.
Right.
Well, the processing of the jail stuff, it's really important to follow all the rules exactly in order to make the process happen. But if you got people shouting at you, or if you have people just ignoring you, you don't know where to sit, you don't know where to stand, you don't know where to go. In the end, you're an adult and you've got control of every aspect of your life. When you go to jail, you can't even decide what you're wearing when you're wearing. And so,
Yeah, that was a
Yeah, you have
wild
no
experience.
control in jail.
The tank that they put me in was overcrowded. There were no beds. They put me in there. They were there. They got me. They showed up at the scene at 7, and I didn't get into a tank until 3 a.m. And when I attempted to sleep, there was someone in an aggressive withdrawal, screaming, urinating on the floor. There were 4 of us without beds, so they just gave me a mattress next to the toilet, and
It's not a
I
good
tried
place.
to sleep for 3 hours on the floor.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not a great
Yeah.
place for a bathroom.
Jail sucks, dude. And the blankets they give you are completely threadbare and wool
Hmm.
and scratchy and gross, so they don't really accomplish much as far as what a blanket is supposed to do.
Nope.
It's not comfortable. It's absolutely gross. It smells like a dog kennel. There's so many people in there with mental health issues that are screaming nonstop because they're not medicated. It's not fun. It's really not fun. And you have no control over anything. And that's hard. When you've always been in control of little things in your life, like when you can make a phone call or when you can go to the restroom, those things get taken away from you and you have to ask permission for everything. And it's awful. It's really awful. Hey, Parrot, I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, I didn't get any of my medication supplied to me. In fact, um, I didn't have any. I had phone privileges, but I couldn't use them. Like I had to use
Mhm,
someone else's credentials to get phone calls.
mhm.
What was his name? What did he like to be called? Like Big Mike or whatever. He's like, oh, I wanted to read that last one. What did it say?
About the Ohio regulations, it requires
Hmm.
it's 30 days, but less than 180 days. So it says they have to hang on to them for 30 days. And
Hmm.
and
And
and and, and
Right,
look,
yeah.
30 days is no time when it comes to something like that. 30 days, you're still trying to get over the shell shock of what just happened. So
well,
by the time you get to put in the request and all that stuff, it's gone.
right. And I guess though I did read that I didn't get charged with a felony, but um, that in certain cases they do keep it for up to 2 years. But I actually did a FOIA request for mine and nothing. Put it in a month ago,
Did they at least
and afterwards
did they respond
nothing.
to you at all or nothing?
They say that they're processing it, but then nothing happened. I was just curious if it was still under that.
So
Uh,
yeah, and so this is how different places work. There's a YouTuber that got in some. He was getting into a protection order issue with his neighbor, and he was doing it for good. He was getting good. He was getting good videos out of it, good publicity about it, and it was a crazy neighbor. I'm just saying it was a hell of a neighbor dispute, and so they ended up having to go to court for the TPO, and they went through 5 hearings and never made it anywhere. So it was kind of a crazy court issues. I paid for that court video because it was interesting to me. I wanted to have an unbiased truth of it, and he was showing clips that he wanted to show, but I didn't feel he was showing the complete picture. So
right.
I did a FOIA request for it. I got the court videos within an hour. I got all 5 court videos. Now it cost me over $400 to get them, but
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't even
well,
think the state had mine, to be honest, because at the end of the process, we had been asking, right? Like, can we see stuff? Can we, talk about this? Nope. And, I don't know if that was because they were so busy or they were like, let's just try and get them on something. But
I'm assumed you went with the public defender. Lawyers are expensive.
mhm.
Do you feel that your
We
public
didn't have
defender
the finances to do anything else.
right? Do you feel your
I had
public defender
a few
gave you
kids
any
and
attention?
it took a good 2 weeks in the process for that to become a regular thing.
Okay.
Like, I got assigned one, and my first real contact with them was the day before my first pretrial. And then we were able to stay in mostly regular contact until not long after my sentencing and probation started.
Okay. Well, I used to live in Tennessee, and I left an employer, and I went to another employer immediately. And I thought everything was great, and then come to find out I had a non-compete contract. And the way I found out I had a non-compete contract was they filed a civil protection order against me to not be allowed
Goodness.
to take that job because it was violating that. Well, in Tennessee, in Tennessee they don't recognize no compete contracts, but they decided to give them their day in court, and so I needed a lawyer, and so I went around town looking for a lawyer because in the end I don't have enough legal issues to have a lawyer on retainer. So I went around looking for a lawyer that could handle it, and they told me if it was criminal, they could do it for $2,500, almost anything. $2,500 was their charge, but they said with civil, we got to start with a $10,000 retainer.
Wow.
And I asked them how far would that $10,000 retainer go, and they said it'll probably last about two or 3 months worth of paperwork, and then you're going to have to come up with more.
Jeez.
Yep.
And so I actually decided to hell with it. I'm doing it pro se. I'm gonna go at it solo because there's no way I'm coming up with $10,000. And
Right.
they kept getting extensions. They kept getting it sent back out until 2 years had passed, and that was how long the no
Statute.
compete contract was. And so they knew they were going to lose, but they knew how to play the lawyer game enough to make it last, to get right past that.
Jeez.
And so, Blue Strat dude, the guest is another follower of the channel named Nitty. He watches the channel, watches court and stuff, and we got to talking, and he had gotten himself in some trouble and got himself in the system, and he was just discussing how he managed it, how he navigated it, and how he's going to have a perfect clean slate at the end of it.
Yeah,
And so-
better.
No, seriously, and you can. It'll show up on your record, but you can eventually get it expunged. Just don't do what I do. I got the same deal you did, but I neglected to hear the reporting part of it and never reported, and that was the reason I got arrested in August, because I hadn't gotten in trouble, but it had been sitting out for 7 years because I never reported and didn't know. So as long as you do everything you're supposed to, like, you'll be fine. Just don't do what I did.
I have
And you'll be fine.
probably, and this is maybe a testament to the case, the strength of the case the state had. I have the easiest possible reporting in the universe. I have to make a phone call once a month for 5 minutes to an automated service.
Well, I think that's a great system, but I think that most people get that sort
Fair.
of, and I think most people don't respond. I think most people ignore it. Not like you're doing. You're a functioning person in society, so therefore you can make that automated call once a month to stay free. There's some folks that as soon as they walk out of that courtroom on that PR bond, they think, oh, it's over, and they'll even drive around with tags not working, with expired tags. Allie,
I don't get it. Like, some of the terms on the
I don't know what you're
paperwork
talking about.
are like, don't show up drunk. And I'm like, how does someone,
Oh, yeah.
okay, like I see it now. Like, and through this whole experience, I did kind of, and have gotten kind of obsessed with like all of this stuff, like I want to learn what I'm doing, how to do it, and some of it's been kind of oddly reassuring that like my internal beliefs that because this happened, like I'm the worst person in the world, even though like I'm just going to maintain, of course, like every defendant, I'm going to maintain that I'm innocent. But, that's not to speak down or, be fatalistic about any of the people we watch, but it definitely contextualizes, the scale of what I've been thinking about, myself, and like what kind of hope or, potential I have, and all that stuff. And, maybe I can help people through, being on this channel too.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what my hopes are. My hopes, whenever I started the channel, was to help people understand the system. I enjoy watching court because I love learning about the process. What I don't like about court is when people get out where they're just cheerleaders. They just want to see the judge tear people apart, or they just want to see people tear the judge apart. Everybody's a person in it, and everybody's got their role to play in it.
Give me a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the biggest thing that sells on YouTube is the sovereign citizen clips, and that's the one thing that I get bored with it within the first minute, and I'm done with it because it's just a circular argument going around back and
It's a
forth.
script
What I really
too.
love is whenever we use Judge Fleischer as an example. Whenever they're going back and forth and they're truly arguing the probable cause, like in your case, if they truly argue the probable cause and they really looked into it past the first layer, it'd probably fall apart. But, to them, the probable cause was we got a phone call in the story. And we got a phone call, put someone in handcuffs. Because if the police came to my house, my instinct would be to be angry. I would be angry at the police officer. I don't have the bipolar. I don't have those things. And I'm not saying that's a crutch, but I don't have that to fall back on. The only thing I've got is anger. And you get angry with a cop, you get aggressive with a cop, it's never going to go your direction. You may take one of them, but you're not going to take all of them. And they'll use all of them. They'll use just as many as it takes. You're going down.
Yeah.
And so
there's fight, flight, and feign, and I'm the third response. I just cave. Like I turn limp like an opossum. Just, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to run. I'm like the worst evolutionary case for a human. Dinosaurs come in, just eat me. Just.
Yeah. And I wish I had that with some things. I never have since I was a little kid. I have an older brother who's 4 years older than me.
Freeze. I guess that's another one.
Yeah, my brother's 4 years older than me, and he was always really good with fighting. He was, in middle school and high school, he was beating up everybody. It was just great. The problem was he was 4 years older than me, and so as he's going into 12th grade, I'm going into 8th and 9th grade, and so now all the people that were mad at him and didn't like him, it was time to beat me up because they could get to me. And I've lost many fights, but I can't really say I've ever backed down to one because I don't have that fight or flight. It's always fight. And it's, and it's gotten me in trouble with people I really don't want it to get me in trouble with. It's got me in trouble with people that I really care about because all I know to do is to fight. And I know with police that that never works well. And what you did doesn't work well because, in the end, they're a hammer, you're a nail. And if they push your buttons, I think more than learning how to deal with, it's called de-escalation, but learning more how to deal with violent people, they need to learn how to deal with people with bipolar. People deal with different sort of mental disorders and such. Or
they
just
wouldn't know that by responding. I'm not what am I going to do? Like, hey,
no, I
mental health issues. Right?
You don't wear a T-shirt that says it on it.
No.
Okay. Well, but in the end, a little bit of training would go a long way on it.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of training would go a long way. And, I have a big issue whenever police pull over people that are drunk. If you know they're drunk, follow that path, but asking them questions that just basically entraps them. And I'm not accusing the police of entrapping people, but I'm saying, yes, you're entrapping people whenever you know they're intoxicated, they're goofballs, and you're asking them about when did they stop beating their wife. Well, they can't answer that question because they don't even know where they're at half the time.
And they're not going to remember giving that response.
But
there's a pretty good chance they won't remember.
Right. So there's no judgment in any of this. Do you feel you learned any life lessons in it?
Huh. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all that matters, honestly. A lot of people, that's the problem, is they get arrested and they don't learn. So as long as you learn from it, that's half the battle right there.
I turned my back on chat for a minute, and I got Brecken asking me, why does Linus have to twerk? I just turned.
No, I already figured it. I already fixed it. She's like, I want to twerk. So after what Brecken wants is Linus now has a little, I guess it's Victoria dressed up as Tina from Bob's Burgers for Halloween twerking. If you are a member, the first month as a membership, you get a little Judge Fleischer at the end of your name, a little emoji of Judge Fleischer. And if you're a member for 2 months, you get the lovely Victoria twerking as Tina as your little emoji next to your name. So it gives you good incentive to become a member and stay a member for 2 months because every month it changes and you get a cool little emoji next to it. So got to stick with us for another month and then you'll get the little Tina emoji.
Isn't YouTube just embarrassing?
No, you're embarrassing. You're the one who made them.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Gina, my neighbor never comes out of their house during the late fall through late spring, so I don't have to even witness their car moving out of the driveway.
Well,
It's
now
weird.
now I'm not going to ask you about your kids because that's just not a good thing to do. Does this person? Do you think this person has any clue how they disrupted your family?
I mean, they watched the whole thing go down. They probably watched my son run out to the squad to have me come back in the house.
That's rough.
My other neighbors watched him run to the squad and say, "Hey, let Daddy stay home."
Yeah. So, yeah.
And so, you know, uh,
Miko, thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
so,
and that's crummy that happened.
yeah, my wife can't watch this stuff with me. She's like, it's too traumatic for her.
Yeah, see,
And
I
for
have,
me, this is a way to process that whole experience. And then surprisingly, there have been other people in conversations I've had where they're like, what happens when this happens, or what's it like for so and so to have gone through this? And I'm like, oh, I have an idea. Here's what I have seen, and here's what I actually know about this part of the system, and here's what you can do or not do.
yeah, absolutely. Don't talk at all. And that's, to me, that's the worst thing. Like, if a police officer pulled up at my house and the police officer says, "Hey, I just want to talk with you," the human reaction is, "Hey, let's talk. We're both adults. We're both humans. You're a public servant. I want to be nice to you." And then when they start accusing you of something, that's, I can see how it would fall apart so quickly. And I'm just saying, because if the police knocked on my door and said right now, "Hey, guess what? I'm charging, I'm suspecting you of this horrible crime." I think it would take me a long time just to gain my composure. And I see that with people with Judge Fleischer in court. Now, look, Judge Fleischer's a character. I'm just saying he's very animated. I don't know that I would know how to react if I was a defendant in front of him. Because
That's the one in Lake County, right?
No, that's the one in Houston.
Right.
Houston,
It's
yeah.
my other favorite one.
Right.
Sorry, I get them all mixed up now.
No, absolutely, but if you see him acting animated, see him jumping up and down out of his chair, and talking with you. He's trying to get you to see the picture. But to me as a defendant, I don't know if I know how to react. I was like, am I supposed to run or stand here, or what the heck's going on here? But the one in Lake County, Ohio, that's Judge O'Donnell.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about him is I think by the time he gets mouthy with you, you've already known what you've done. I'm talking, it's already so far along the game. He's heard all the excuses that you've got to offer. Mm-hmm. I've never seen him come at somebody in the aggressive standpoint from the beginning. Judge Fleischer does it because he's in the misdemeanor side and he's getting people before they've gotten caught up in the system, before they got trapped. In reality, you probably went to a court like Judge Fleischer's, not a felony court, where right. But I got pulled over by a police officer and I started calling him Your Honor. I got nervous because in the end you want out of the situation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You just want it to go away. We live in a system that if we have a light out on our vehicle or a tag out, somebody with a gun comes to talk to us about it. That's weird.
It really is.
But in the end, if somebody was hurting their child, you want them to come running. Mm-hmm. They don't know what they're coming to. They got that call and they got adrenaline going from the second they got that call. Hey, we got a situation, someone hurting a child, let's roll. Mm-hmm. And so, that adrenaline takes a little while to wear down.
For sure.
Or is there any retaliation against the neighbor, or you just staying clear of them?
No.
Best answer ever.
Yeah, I would just like to say that it's a family thing that they responded to. But I get what you're saying, like a child's in danger.
Yeah. No. I'm just saying. Look, if they knocked on my door, they could say, I murdered someone. I'm just saying any type of thing that the police are going after, they don't have they don't have a 60%. They've got 0 or 100%. They're
Right.
coming
And
full
so
force or nothing.
on the one hand, I actually feel like I'm not really too mad, because even though the quality of their witness is highly questionable, if they sincerely believed in the accusations they were making, then they did the right thing.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather someone be sincerely mistaken about a crime than willfully ignorant or obstructing justice.
Absolutely.
Because and do people end up in jail from sincerely mistaken people? Yeah, they do. But what do you think is better, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I really can't be that mad, and it's really painful to go through someone else's mistake, but I don't know. What else am I supposed to do?
Yeah. And Debbie made the comment, for the first time she realized how biased she is for cops. She's never got nervous when pulled over. Well, that's awesome, Debbie. I wish I felt that way. I wish I did. I'm not committing any crimes. I haven't committed any crimes in at least 25 to 30 years. I'm terrified. If I got pulled over tomorrow, I'd just be terrified. And it's not a choice. It's just an instinct.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've been
I
arrested
am right
twice,
now,
and
so I can next to you.
I never get nervous when cops pull me over ever. And I've been pulled over 3 times in the last 2 months, and I don't ever get nervous around that.
At
But I've always
places,
had cool cops. I've never had a bad cop. I've never ever personally met a bad cop ever.
I've had to call the police at least 5 times this year at my workplaces on employees or people at the employees. Well, I'm a transportation manager, and sometimes we deal with truck drivers, and sometimes truck drivers get rowdy, and truck drivers get mad and they want to fight.
Yeah, okay.
And so I've had to call the police because a truck driver threatened to hurt somebody, or somebody got upset and somebody damaged property, and the police had to be there. And I'd say 3 out of the 5 times when the police get there, I explain to them that I'm the one that called them and this is what I called them for. They pull me over to the side and interrogate me as if I'm the problem.
Damn.
And I've explained to them that, no, I'm the one who called you. I called you because this property damage happened and it was over $500 and we had to have a law enforcement involved. But once we have the conversation, things tend to calm down, but it's normally the same answer every time. Okay, we got told there was people fighting, and so we came full force. We got told there was people people raising, so they came aggressive. And like I said, I match energy, so they come at me aggressive. I came at them aggressive, and I don't even see it, but they look for body language, and my body language was, all right, let's go. Now they don't know that I'd been dealing with the aggressive party for the last 30 minutes. And so I was in defensive mode because, one, I don't want to get beat up by some random truck driver in a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I already told Michael about my other parking lot experiences. I don't need to go there.
That was a good one too.
But definitely there's everybody's in there saying they don't get nervous when they get pulled over. Well, gosh damn, y'all didn't go to jail when you were 16. I did. Leave me alone.
Yeah, and so when I talked about filing a motion, it's because I'm at the halfway point, and you can file a motion for early release. And so, I've done all my reporting. I actually was notifying my officer that my employment changed through company mergers. And the first time when I attempted that notification via email, the email bounced back to me. And so I call, the county, and they say, oh yeah, your officer retired. I was like, oh,
That's lovely.
Do I have a new one? They're like,
Absolutely.
yeah, here's their contact information. I was like, okay. So then I go through another company merger. I try to inform them, and guess what? they retired too.
Yep.
And
Well,
so now I'm on, my
Wow.
third one, but, I want to, I've, told the state like, hey, I'm trying to comply so much that I'm making sure down to the T, I'm getting this right.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, look, I told you we'd hold you for 15 minutes and we've held you for 40.
Oh,
So,
I can talk for an hour. I don't care.
yeah. I
I'm
know.
used to doing 3-hour live streams.
Well, do you want to plug your channel or do you want to leave that one out or how do you want to do that? I'm all for it if you want to plug it.
I can. I'll preface my description really quick. I like talking about it. So, so over at my house, I talk about religion, politics, and culture, and usually how those things intersect. I usually talk about
Why is
how there's.
Allie waving all kinds of red flags over there?
What are you
Allie's,
talking about?
no, you
I'm
over there.
not doing anything.
No, go ahead, Nitty. I'm sorry.
And particularly in the YouTube space, there are people on both sides of the issue with millions of subscribers having this kind of conversation. And sometimes it's about, what those parties will and will not say, and expressing different views on that. Another thing that I do that I've documented on my channel is I take a whiteboard to like a restaurant and I write on it, "Believe in God, let's chat." And then I record those conversations that I have with people. I don't believe in God, but, and I'm trying to do that to break down stereotypes and have people interact with people who think differently and expose them to different ways of thinking. So my videos, you'll find some videos there that are those conversations. And then my live streams, like, again, are about particularly Christianity, how that interacts with society. And I get crass and use a lot of innuendo. So,
Okay, so
and
it sounds like you trouble. I got it.
yeah,
It's good.
and lately, the last thing I talked about were the literal Nazis that marched through Columbus over the weekend.
I think
So
yeah.
there's
I think I get the point. I'm not going to go to Nazis in a conversation. That's one thing my channel's not going to do.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah,
let's
that's
just
why
tell
I
what
do
the
it.
channel is and
Yeah.
what the general idea is, and we
Yeah.
can
Right. That's
plug
why
it
I
that
do
way.
it.
Yeah.
Someone asked, does my live chat get wild? No, not usually. I have a very strong community of people who love and respect each other. And then we get the occasional person who's, pretty different from us. And I try to urge them to be respectful to them and, keep the conversation in the chat civil. Like, I might be uncivil with how I feel about something, but I will. What was I going to say? I will if you show up face to face or come on video with me, we're going to have a fair conversation.
Well, how about this? If you invite me, I'll show up. If you invite Allie, she won't. No, I would.
Thanks a lot.
Send me your channel, and I'd love
Mhm.
to go
There we
check
go,
it out.
Lori.
Yeah, I usually tell people who ask about my
Yes.
hobbies that it's not safe for faith instead of
Yeah.
not safe for work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
send me a link and I'll put a chat up. Or put it the
let me find it now.
link.
'Cause
Yeah.
I'm on here.
But yeah, we got to get on with the other content.
Oh, I'm going to love watching all the proceedings from today. So I will hop back and be one of your lurkers. I'll put it in the guest chat.
Oh, she's
There you go.
yeah, she's got a whole bunch of other stuff going on tonight. She's got some body camera and all kinds of stuff like that she doesn't know about yet.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'm
I don't even have
gonna
it.
I'll hop off into lurk mode and do some after hours work. So thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
I hope this was informative and people, if people have questions for me, they can leave them in the comments and then Bill, you can tell me what What's up?
Absolutely. And I'll check out your channel. I am a Christian. I am not a religious person, but I am a Christian. But I'll certainly have any discussion possible with you. I'm just saying I love to keep an open mind. I don't think you're going to change my opinion, but I'd love to keep an open mind about everything. I think I'm pretty stuck on what I am, but I'm comfortable there. But I'd love to check it out.
Can I leave your viewers with 3 things?
It all depends.
Sure.
No, they're all nice. Does
it have anything to do with Nazis?
Principles. No.
Okay,
the first one is
we're good. Go ahead.
If I ask you what will it take to change your mind and you tell me nothing, that tells me everything I need to know about you. Because things could change my mind, but I won't get into it. You never know who you'll be tomorrow, because we don't predict the future, and we can respond and act in ways we'll never anticipate. And you might surprise yourself. That could be scary, but just being forewarned is foreknown. So, just know that you don't know who you'll be tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And the last thing is, it takes seconds to destroy what took much to build.
That is deep. That's deep thought. And so
I'm teaching that to my kids who like to get angry and wreck their stuff. And so that they understand that on a small level, so that they can understand, how you make a mistake in a relationship. It takes seconds to destroy what took many to build. So,
I keep trying to tell my wife that. I keep telling her, watch what you're saying. You're going to wreck something good. She doesn't believe me.
It's true. Okay, I'm back in lurk mode.
Thank you so much, Nitty, for coming on. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
And I'll definitely check you out. I know some of the other ones have already checked you out.
Cool.
Talk to you later, man. Thank you for coming on.
Take it easy, Nitty.
All right, now it's us. And then there were 2. All right,
now you're stuck with just us.
Right, so what we got tonight is I got the 2-minute police officer in Florida where the lady police officer overdoses on fentanyl. We watched it before, but we're going to watch it again because Ken sent it. But we're going to watch it with a different perspective. This perspective is, somebody in the comments had mentioned that it was not fentanyl, it was a panic attack.
Right, yeah, I heard about that. So I'm super interested in that.
Right. And so I've always watched it knowing that it was a fentanyl overdose. So now I want to watch it and kind of look at it from maybe a panic attack, because I don't know. Hell, I've never overdosed on fentanyl and I've never had a panic attack. So maybe I'm sure Brecken's had a panic attack or 2. She can probably help us out.
And then after we watch that, I'll give you guys a cool story that isn't drug or law related. It's just a crazy Alli story that you guys will all appreciate. And Brecken, if you didn't hear my dream, because we did a whole show on dreams the other day. So if you didn't see it, you got to go back and you got some catching up to do, because I did talk about my dreams. So you got some catching up to do, girl. But anyways, yeah, go ahead and play it.
Let's go to that and then we'll come back to this one.
A Tavares police officer who overdosed on fentanyl earlier this week is speaking to News 6. Incredible story. Within moments of Officer Courtney Bannock locating various narcotics during a routine traffic stop, she was heard choking and breathless over her radio. After being rushed to the hospital, she insisted the body cam video be released to the public to warn others about how dangerous the drug can be. News 6's Mark Lehman.
I kind of don't feel like that looked like a panic attack.
Yeah, and I don't really know about that, because if Narcan brought her back immediately, that's a big sign. And 2, I mean, she could have gotten hit by it or exposed to it and not necessarily overdosed, but it definitely screwed her up, got her high and made her pass. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I don't know. I'm very skeptical on the panic attack thing, so I'm very interested to see this.
Sat down with her to discuss that decision.
Only a couple days after that fentanyl encounter, the officer seen in that video is back here at the Tavares Police Department. She spoke with us about what happened, sharing a message of safety.
If I didn't have backup there, I wouldn't be here today.
Officer Courtney Bannock taking us through the moments captured on body camera video Tuesday morning in Tavares. Bannock says she took precautions while discovering what turned out to be the powerful opioid fentanyl.
As soon as I started talking, I was lightheaded a little bit and started almost choking. I couldn't breathe.
Did you get a warrant?
Within a matter of moments, she says things took a turn.
I'm very mindful if I don't touch my face, if I have gloves on. But did I wipe my nose with my wrist? Did I use something? I don't know.
She's not breathing. Hit her again.
Bannock says she remembers little as other officers arrived. 3 doses of Narcan were used to battle the effects of a sudden overdose.
It was hard. It's hard because I'm helpless. I've done this to 100 people before, and now I needed that.
After making a full recovery, she chose to release the video to show the community the dangerous effects of fentanyl.
We are not dealing with pharmaceutical grade fentanyl. Every day, these street chemists are coming up with something because the drug users you get tolerance to it. You build a tolerance.
And while the video has been difficult to watch, she's thankful for the quick thinking of her fellow officers.
If I was searching that car alone or testing those drugs alone or whatever the case may be, and I didn't have Narcan available, there's a good chance I wouldn't be here right now.
And Officer Bannock tells us she's grateful for all the support she's received from the community. She says she'll be back on her normal shift tomorrow night. In Tavares, Mark Lehman, Getting Results, News 6.
So what do you think of that?
Well, and I just responded in chat to Gina about this, that if it was an allergic reaction of some sort, then Narcan wouldn't have brought her out of it. So I don't think that it was an allergic reaction either. And I don't think it was a panic attack. Like if it took them 3 doses of Narcan to bring her back, that doesn't scream anxiety or panic attack to me. So I don't know who, I remember somebody saying that. I don't remember who it was. I would be interested to see if they had any other follow-up information to this video, because what I'm seeing right now looks legit to me.
Yeah, I think it was. But you know what? There's always a possibility that there was more than one blonde-haired police officer lady that got knocked out.
It could have, definitely could have been a different person. So
it could have been. And I don't, I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of this stuff because in the end, I'm not doing these drugs, and I assume that they're training people to not. I know that there's, where I live in Florida, there's always the trailer parks, and they have to destroy the trailer because they were cooking meth in the trailer, and now the walls are not safe to live in. They're not habitable. And so I assume that Rivette saying, why would they lie on the news as well? Well, that's a whole nother show, Rivette.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is. I think that whoever told us or gave us the tip that this was a panic attack, I think they were mistaken.
Or they could have been talking about a different video.
Right. That's what I meant.
I think this one here, Kim had sent this to me. Kim's been blasting away with some good videos.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah, if you guys have any videos that you see and you're like, hey, I'd love to hear Allie's taking this, or Bill's, or anybody's, and you've got it, want us to just see it, please send it to us. We love watching them, and we'll give you credit we'll shout you out. So absolutely.
And say something in the subject line like hey, video suggestion, or hey, videos for you, because I probably get 100 emails a day of scammers trying to sponsor stuff on the channel. Because the neat thing about a sponsor is they'll ask you for your bank information because they want to promise to send you money.
Yeah, sure.
And so I get messages all the time. Hey, if you'll put this 30-second video in, we'll throw you $500, or we'll throw you $1,000 to put in this 30-second video.
Yeah.
And you notice there's no extra videos in here, so I obviously hadn't found one that I think is worth playing. And so I do get.
Is that the end of this video?
That's the end of this one. I do get sponsor offers, but so far most of them have been garbage. I've taken on 1 or 2, but most of them have been garbage, and we're not going to do that here. So the next one is a video of a body cam of an overdose in progress. And
how long is this video?
It's 20 minutes. Which hey,
tell
me a funny story.
You guys want to hear my funny story now? Because it's pretty funny. It's just a crazy funny Allie story. So when I was growing up, I don't remember how this got around. Somebody was talking about the tooth fairy earlier today. So this is my experience with the tooth fairy. When I was growing up, when I'd lose a tooth, we always put it in like a glass of water, and then the tooth fairy would come along and put for me, it was $2 silver that were put in the glass of water. And it was really cool because silver dollars are rare. When I was growing up, those are rare coins. So they're special. You don't see them that often. So tooth fairy would leave me $2 silver. And my mom said, okay, now Allie, I'm going to put these in my jewelry box because I don't want you to lose them or spend them because they're, silver dollars. They're worth more. And if you keep them over a long period of time, then you'll collect a lot of money, and, they could be worth money, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, cool. Did that. So flash forward to where I'm like 16, 17. I now have a car and I have a job, but I need gas money. And when you're a teenager and you want gas money, you'll do anything. So it's like, oh yeah, I have all those silver dollars saved up. I can go get that and get gas money with it, right? Not that you would really want to spend silver dollars on gas money. You should keep them. So I go to get all my silver dollars and go into my mom's jewelry box, and there's two. I'm like, okay, where's the rest of my silver dollars, Mom? Where are they? She just starts laughing hysterically. She's like, bitch, we use the same two silver dollars every single time. You didn't know. So I don't like the Tooth Fairy. Don't like the Tooth Fairy at all.
Did the police come out? Did the police come out when that fight started?
No, but they thought it was hysterical. They're like, "Oh yeah, remember all those times I'd say that I threw 4 quarters out in the lawn, and you can't come back in until you found all 4? Well, we just threw 3 out there and needed to keep you busy." So that's the kind of parenting I was.
Well,
Yeah.
it's good to know I
I got
wasn't.
lots of good stories like that. Yeah, I figured Brecken would love this story out of everybody. I'm pretty sure her kids are older than the Tooth Fairy now, but pretty sure Brecken would be like, "That's genius."
Yeah, but she would have to be listening. She would have to have the attention span of that.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know, I say that, and then her message is talking about the Tooth Fairy forgot.
Forgetting. Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. So that's my funny Tooth Fairy story.
All right, we're gonna go to fentanyl, or it says overdose in progress, so we're gonna assume it's fentanyl. Now, look, everybody, I gave credits in the top corner, so make sure to go and visit the channels that I put up in the corner to thank them for it. So this one was courtesy of the news.
Courtesy of the news. Love it.
We're with paramedics responding to a 911 call. It seems like an apparent overdose. This is Pembroke, Ontario.
Carrie.
When idiot foaming at the mouth and shaking.
Everywhere you look, it's overdoses.
Wake up, man.
You do not know what it's like to live on the street, have no roof over your head.
Dispatch call 4600.
Do you think first responders will see him again tonight?
Possibly.
I wish I could go back. I don't want to be like this.
There's nothing on my belt here that's going to solve addictions. Why wouldn't we try something new? Because the answer is, if we do nothing, what's going to change?
Priority purple. It means there's an immediate threat to life. My producer Ryan and I, we've been covering this fight against fentanyl. In Ottawa, we sat down with the people who use it.
Okay, I remember what it was now. The source of this was something called CBC. I know ABC and NBC and all those, but I couldn't figure out what CBC means. I guess it's Canada Broadcasting.
Canadian Broadcasting Company. That's what I assume it is.
I don't know. Is that a real place?
I don't know if that's a real. I know that the Netherlands is not a real place because Linus keeps saying that's where she's from, and I know it's not real.
No,
I don't know about Canada. Canada, I don't think is real either.
Okay, I know we got somebody that watches the show named Deborah, and she says she lives there, and so.
Oh wow, nice.
We'll see if she pops up tonight. Well, anyways, this is kind of just talking about the fentanyl thing or overdosing and homelessness in general, and look, you know, if you take drugs and you don't end up homeless, you won a big game of roulette. You know, because there's a lot of people that are functional, and I would even go as far as to say that, Alli, I would say that you were functional if you were able to at least somewhat hide it from people that you love. You know, some of these people can't hide it at all.
But my hiding wasn't, I'm a normal functioning adult hiding my addiction. Mine was, I have multiple medical problems, and that's how I'm hiding my addiction. Like it was, I masked it by saying I had a lot of medical problems. And that's why I needed like money to always go to the doctor. And that's why my arms were always tore up with track marks and had bruises. And I hid it under the guise of that I had all these medical issues, which I do have a lot of medical issues in general. So that's not a lie. And that's why it was easy for me to lie about it, because I've always had medical issues.
Okay, and I'll ask you a question. I know we talked about it before about shooting it up versus smoking it. Is it just a faster delivery system?
It's as shitty as it sounds, it's a more cost effective way to do it. You don't lose anything. The smoke goes everywhere. You only get like 60% bioavailability versus 100% if you shoot it. There's a lot of like science in the mix that tells you exactly which the best way to utilize your drugs and get the most out of your money. And that's the reason. Like I started snorting the liquid because you can mix it with liquid. We don't have powdered heroin here in Texas. So you couldn't snort it. It was always tar, basically. So you had to like mix it with water and snort it that way, or shoot it or smoke it. So I started by snorting the water. Then I started smoking. I hate smoking anything. Didn't love that. I was coughing all the time. Hated it. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna make the leap, and I did.
Yeah, I don't.
So, yeah.
I while you were saying that, I realized that I'm way too lazy to be a drug user.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And I have really tiny veins as it is. Like I've always had problems like donating blood. Needles don't bother me. I've never had a problem with that. But I've always had bad veins, and so sometimes it would take me like an hour to find a place I could shoot, and it is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Like I hated it. It's seriously so miserable. It's such a miserable existence. Like you have no idea how awful it is. It's just, yeah,
Okay,
it's awful.
let's jump back into this.
Belleville, we saw
Okay.
how a toxic batch sent that city into a state of emergency, and now we're turning to Pembroke. We spent 3 days there over the course of a week. It's a small town trying a new solution, and we got rare access to paramedics just trying to keep people alive.
This is Priority Purple, 23 Echo 01 Golf, overdose poisoning.
Can you attach me to that, please? How many meters?
800. This is our last day in Pembroke. This town sees more than double the number of fatal overdoses per capita than the rest of Ontario. And we're inside Lori Shannon's paramedic vehicle, responding to calls most of us never see.
Please, guys. Oh my God. Whoever made this drug, oh my God. Oh my God, and that's just a withdrawal.
It's fentanyl. Most overdose calls are. Last year, they got about 900 of these calls.
He's gonna see it's worse than this. It's just starting.
That's Carrie. We've bumped into her every single day that we've been here. She's been in a rough spot, but not like this. It's a town of 14,000 people, so you can't help but run into the same people day after day after day. And Renfrew County is using that to try a new approach. They're sending out paramedics and social workers, finding people where they're at before things get critical. This is day one. We meet Carrie. She's just been robbed, and she's looking for help.
What happened to your ribs, Carrie?
They got broken. I was in a scuffle. We walk down the road, people throw change at us. You crackhead, you need some spare change. You need some food, they'll throw pizza crust. People are very ignorant. You do not know what it's like to live on the street, have no roof over your head, be able to cover up at night, be able to have a bath. Nobody knows what it's like at all. I've been out here for a year. I'm 56 years old and I live on the street. When Mesa first came to the grind, I stayed away. I didn't want to get close to them. I don't trust people. But with Lori, I see her all the time. So I feel really comfortable sharing and telling them the truth and what's the matter with us. Us addicts find it hard to trust. And with Lori and Joe, Basil, all of them, the Mesa crew, I trust them all with my life.
Carrie trusts Lori and her crew with the life of her family, too. And by the end of the trip, we're going to find out exactly what that trust means. It's the kind of trust that takes hours of legwork. And it's the foundation for Renfrew County's new plan. It's called Mesa. They set up shop at a service hub called The Grind.
I think the first time I went there, I was outside to introduce myself. There were maybe 8 people outside having a cigarette, and I think like 6 went back inside and 2 stayed to talk to me. So it did take some time, and I think seeing us consistently, it was just Fridays, Tuesdays and Fridays, and now that the team has sort of stood up, I guess. We're there every day that they're open at the Grind for lunch, and we try to have someone on every weekend to cover off lunches here. So yeah, we had to earn some trust, and we have to maintain it.
Here's what that trust gets you out here: an open doorway into the world of fentanyl and homelessness. Lori's starting her day. A tent encampment's been vandalized. A 70-year-old beaten in his sleep. He's got signs of a brain injury, doesn't want to go on camera, doesn't want...
Okay, I thought the 70-year-old was that bald guy. I was like, that's a good-looking damn 70-year-old guy. It was the younger guy there. So I guess the older fella's behind the police car there.
To go to the hospital either, and so Lori and a social worker get him into a motel room to recover for at least a few days.
Okay, yeah, that wasn't the one.
Lori was a paramedic in Toronto. She spent 15 years there, but this, it's different. She knows everyone by name, like Debbie. We run into her at a coffee shop. She's recovering from a stab wound to the face.
Everywhere you look, it's overdoses. It's not an easy drug to get off of. It's got the worst withdrawal symptoms, the longest lasting withdrawal symptoms. There needs to be a serious driving force to get someone clean of it.
It's like this all day. Downtown streets, rural areas. She's meeting clients everywhere she goes.
When you hear about the fentanyl crisis, what does that look like to you?
Terrible.
Have you seen it down here on the street?
Yeah, I've seen 3 people die, like right in front of me. It's not fun.
People you knew?
Yeah, best friends.
Can I ask you about your situation, about your story? Would you feel comfortable talking to me about that?
Drug addiction, served in the military.
So where do you sleep at night?
In the bush.
How long has it been like that for?
Good 8 months.
8 months.
Yeah.
What's sort of preventing you from finding a place to stay right now, or from getting back on your feet?
Drug addiction. Yeah, that's about it right now.
Can I ask what you're using?
Fentanyl.
We've heard a lot of people overdosing on fentanyl. Obviously, a really dangerous mix right now with the benzos, the animal tranquilizers, xylazine, who knows what's in it. What are your thoughts about what you're seeing on the street? Does that scare you at all?
Sure does. Yeah.
What do you think about every time you use fentanyl?
Fuck it. But
what do you say to that? As someone who wants to help, when someone says, fuck it.
They think that maybe no one cares, but I think it's more that they think that they're not worth being cared about.
You're trying to establish the fact that you're going to be there the next day, and you're going to miss them if they're not there.
Yeah.
If you show up and they're not there.
Yes. Absolutely. I can't imagine what it must feel like to know that, or believe that, nobody is on your side.
Hours upon hours of conversations. It's finding people, getting them medication, wound care, temporary shelter. It's connecting them with social workers and the services that will keep them alive.
For some, it's just a really slow, long, drawn-out suicide process, is one way to describe it.
And you've just accepted that, I guess.
Well,
Had to.
You have to. I can only control what I can do for other people, which is try and set people up for success. And what they do with that is up to them.
Yeah. In between the check-ins, the inevitable calls for an overdose in progress.
Can you attach me to that call on 333 Doran, please?
It's a fentanyl overdose, and it's a client Lori knows well. They find him on the property line in between homes. He's clinging to consciousness.
Wake up, man.
He's defecated himself. There's this rush to get him to hospital. He's alive, but it's impossible to know what mix of fentanyl he's on. The batches, they just keep changing.
These are his. I'm not a cop. It's not for me to take. We have Narcan. That'll kick the opiate off a receptor and help someone breathe and get a little bit better, but I can't do anything about a whole lot of ketamine and a whole lot of benzodiazepine and all the rest of it.
Is he going to be okay?
I think so. I mean, I haven't seen him this sick. But I mean, he's here and he's safe, and provided he stays for some treatment, and he's really not in a position to go anywhere right now, I think he'll be okay.
It's like this in countless cities and towns across Canada, a losing battle against opioid deaths. And it's not just fentanyl. It's fentanyl mixed with benzodiazepines, animal tranquilizers, xylazine. The list keeps growing. Paramedics and police, they keep playing catch up, and every time they attend an overdose call, they ask themselves two questions. One, what's the person on? Two, if they survive, where do they take them?
There is a call in town.
What is it?
30-year-old lay on the street.
We're on another overdose call. A man's passed out on someone's front lawn. He's in and out of consciousness. His name is Mark.
So, you were seen, I guess, down the road?
Lori knows him by name. She doesn't know where he sleeps, though. No address on file. And he's incoherent, so they do what they can. How did you end up solving that?
Well, the officers were gracious enough to take the client with them, hopefully to Tim Hortons or somewhere where he can maybe grab a coffee or something to drink, and, you know, assuming that he's not banned from somewhere, and then hopefully he can perk up enough to get to wherever it is he might be staying for the night. I do recognize him from the grind and know him from there. I don't know him to be staying in one of the tents. Otherwise, I would have taken him somewhere where he could be looked after or get some sleep or something. And there's no address on his file. We figured that out. So they're gonna take him somewhere where hopefully he can perk up a little bit, and ideally he does so and doesn't sort of wander off and we find ourselves in the same situation again. So
yeah, well, without a place to take him to,
there's nowhere there's no
I
there's
go.
nowhere to take him.
You.
it's time and it's resources. She's got a list of people that she still needs to check up on. New drugs, new problems like lesions, infections, and the longer they go on, the higher the cost.
Homelessness isn't always rock bottom. You can go farther, as we've seen, and you can set someone up for success, but a person, as I said, has to want to keep their legs, and there's a cost to that as well. So if I can't make someone accept care, but maybe his rock bottom is losing his legs. There are real costs to not just the homelessness aspect of it, but the illness that can go with it. If you were to temporarily house to stabilize, I'm sure that's a cost, but just like a one-day cost for someone who needs that kind of, I don't know what that is. A lot, I imagine.
Here's how some researchers see the numbers. A hospital ward costs $32,500 a month. Jail, half as much. A shelter costs $7,500 a month. But if you can get someone in supportive housing, the monthly price tag drops to $3,500. And so Lori tries to meet people at the grind.
I wish we would look at that in the United States more. You know,
I know.
You know, the jail was 15,000, but finding someone housing was 3,500. Now you hear, on the news they want to politicize everything. You hear about New York and California, and they talk about the homeless people getting the ritzy apartments or ritzy hotels turned into homeless shelters, and there's got to be some reality to it. There's got to be some sort of backstory to it. Maybe it was a hotel that was gone bankrupt, or maybe it was something I don't know. But even $3,500 a month seems a pretty good deal. That's $100 a day, about $112, $113 a day, and if I owned a hotel, I bet you I'd love 100% occupancy for $100 a day. I just wouldn't want to do the cleanup at the end.
Yeah, and it's just that economics, like when you look at it like that, it seems like a no-brainer. But then the problem, it doesn't happen here in the States, is a lot of money and a lot of corruption. It's big business. Addiction is big business. Like, let's just face it, it is.
But I
you addicted to it, and then they make money off of that, and then they make money off of the treatment side of it. So that's just the bureaucracy, big business corruption thing that I don't have any faith will ever get out of our system. But
is that not in Canada also?
They have socialized medicine, so it's not big business there. No, it's not as big. No, absolutely not. Like, pharmaceutical companies aren't making hand over fist getting people addicted to drugs and then making money hand over fist with they are, but that's the reason that it won't, the laws as far as treatment and
So
You know what I'm
I'm
trying to say.
without being political. I know it's a political term nowadays, but I don't mean it as a political term. I'm always America first. I just
Right.
am. I don't mean it in a political way. I mean it in a almost a value way.
You're patriotic. I get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm always America first. It can't be the rest of the world has figured out corruption and how to get away from it. Because I know most other countries are corrupt. How can a country like Canada have medical stuff and still not be corrupt? I'm just how can there? It seems like they just maybe have a different type of corruption.
They've also another thing is you have to think of is they've had their government in place a lot longer than we have. So that they also have done a lot more trial and error. We only had 250 years of figuring out how things work as far as running our nation.
Yeah,
and
but
they've had thousands of years.
Yeah, but it's been
So,
250 really good years.
Yeah, it has been.
No,
But as far as taking care of people, they've worked out the kinks a little bit better. I think they've had more time to play trial and error than we have.
Well, like with this story here, in reality, I don't think we're going to get past this one. But on this story here, I like that they took a town and did that, because whenever I started hearing about that, I started thinking we would have to have a state decide that. That would have to be like the state of Florida would have to decide, let's pick a town and try something different to see if something works. Because we couldn't pick, we're too divided to pick a state. Like, let's say Arkansas just decided that they were going to try something different for fighting drugs. I just don't believe that other states would go along with it. Other states would say, oh, we're going to do our own thing because everybody wants to be different. Everybody wants to do their own thing. But like these people here, they're trying, they're trying something to do something different, because what they were doing was not working. And so they throw up the stats here. I wonder what the stats truly are. Do they have a success rate, and if their success rate compares to the United States? Because like my son actually came home today. He was off from work, and so he came over to the house today, which was great for us. And
nice.
And so we got to do a lot of talking. We got to just do a lot of conversations and stuff. And it, he realizes how much he's wrapped up in the system and how much it's going to cost him in the system. He understands it's a money grab. He's able to stay out of prison, but he's got 10 years of probation. And 10 years of probation is going to cost him a ton of money. And so,
yeah, it's definitely expensive. What?
Debbie just warned me I'm talking about politics.
And she's right. It is different how they run things, but we'll get back to it too, where it's just, as far as medicine and money, like Gina said, Suboxone was $320 a month 16 years ago. My methadone clinic's $400 a month. But it's a hell of a lot cheaper than what I was spending in heroin. That's for damn sure. But
it's also a lot cheaper.
Not everybody can afford that. Like,
No.
Can everybody afford? Not a lot of people can afford a sudden $400 a month extra bill.
No,
So, yeah.
because I know in my world there's elderly people that their medicine costs $400 a month, and they just have to understand that they're dying soon, because that $400 a month in medicine is not going to happen. There's and I'm sure it's everywhere, but people that I've known in my life have to choose between medicine or food.
Yep.
And when your lights are getting turned off, your water's getting turned off, and everything. Yeah, and I don't want to get into the politics of the socialism and what we have in the United States, because in the end, I think they're all labels, and I think they're all different versions of the same thing. I think there's some things that are figured out, but I truly believe that if there's a better system, we should at least be aware of it, and we should at least be studying it. Like this town. If this town is truly doing something different, let's try it out. Let's try something. Let's see if something works. Because right now, because I don't know anything about AA, but AA seems to be the only thing that judges all across the country seem to at least be supportive on. And I don't believe that.
Yeah, and it's something that's been proven too. It's actually been proven to be a scientifically proven to be the best deterrent for relapse.
Yeah, but AA has a strong religious component to it.
Yeah,
And so,
that's the
and so
downside to
what
it.
if you have somebody who really wants to get better but really opposes any sort of religion? You know,
That's me.
right, and see,
Like that's the reason I don't go to AA, because I know that they have a very strong religious component to it, and they're like, well, you need to accept that there's a higher power, and I'm super sorry, but I don't subscribe to that.
right. Well, and see, I have the benefit of I do subscribe to that, but I'm not addicted to anything that they heal you from. If you know, if AA helped you with Krispy Kreme, I would go twice a week.
Right.
But I'm just it's important there. And like Blue Strat dude, he said I hadn't smoked weed in 10 years, but is spending $400 a month on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not comparable by opioids by any stretch. And look, I don't. To me, weed is just as bad as heroin. That's just my personal opinion. I have the right to have that opinion. It may not be accurate. It may be absolutely right. But I have the opinion that weed is just as bad as alcohol, just as bad as heroin. It's anything that you want to abuse, you can abuse, and you can tear it up. You can destroy your life over. There's people that gamble. There's people that go to bingo to the point where they destroy their lives.
Absolutely.
And so anything can be addictive. But whenever I think about the marijuana, I think about the lost potential that some people have. I know some bodybuilders and powerlifters who use marijuana as part of their workout routine. It works for them, but there's such a small part of the percentages. You know, there's a lot of percentage. As an employer, I can't get people to show up for an interview, and if they do show up for an interview, the minute I mention a drug test, they tell me, "Okay, well, you're gonna have to give me some time before I can do that." I wouldn't want to lose the lost wages of having that on my back. So. But
right. I do want to say one more thing before you started up about the AA, that it's about the higher power and not necessarily about religion. And I get that. I don't have that, guys. I wish I did, but I don't. I don't have the ability to recognize that there is some higher power controlling all of this. That's me. And I don't have that. I just don't. I wish I did. It would help me a lot with a lot of things in life that I struggle with, but I can't force myself to believe something that I don't believe. But so that's just me though. Totally me. I love AA. I think they do amazing things. I think that releasing yourself to a higher power is great. I think it helps a lot of people. It don't fall into that category, unfortunately. But
but there needs, and as horrible as it is, there needs to be something for you. There needs to be something for there. Now with my son, I kept flat out telling him, hey, you can just make the choice. You can either go along with it or you can find something else, but you got to get sober. You got to straighten out your life. And
I live my life for me and my family. And
right.
that's all I can do. Yeah. I want to get better for me. I want to get better for my family.
No, absolutely. So, and anything that points you in the right direction is good. Luckily enough, my son was able to come around to it, and he's doing good with it. But I love religion. I love my beliefs, but I also understand that it can't be for everybody. It just simply can't be. In other words, everybody's got their own beliefs about stuff. And I hate to feel that there's a section of our society that's simply left out because they don't subscribe to that. And so, and if they use the higher power, and like Kim saying AA used God because in 1939 it was the most popular, that sounds great. Right. I can truly believe that. I can truly say they found a central figure to roll with it. Mm-hmm. And so, hey, Jane's back. Hey, Jane, good to see you.
Yeah.
And so, but we're going to.
And now Lori got chat working. She's been trying to get chat working all night long, so I'm glad she can finally see chat. So good.
Wonderful. Look, life ain't the same if Lori is not there. So that's
exactly
great. All right, we're going to jump back into it.
Sorry.
It's a coffee shop and a helping center, and it's where the Mesa teams connect with dozens of people facing addictions and homelessness.
We're feeding about 70 people a day. I'll just take you on the other side. We know our clients, we know the people that are in need, and with that builds trust. And we're getting more people to the agencies where they can get help. And I think breaking that barrier down, especially with that relationship, is where we're seeing success.
These are people like you or I, and just a few decisions led this way, and that's what MACE is about, is getting the county in on it, getting the paramedic service in on it. You've got us, you've got the hospital, like there's so many partners in this MESA project.
It's a one-stop shop for help. This is where we run into Carrie again. It's been days since we first met her. She's had a chance for her ribs to heal, and she's feeling good.
Last time we talked to you, Lori had checked you out and sort of given you a sense of what might be wrong with your ribs there. Does that kind of interaction, was that what led you to the hospital?
Yeah.
Would you have gone otherwise?
Lori. Would I have gone otherwise? No.
But her life is about to get a lot worse. The challenge at the grind, demand keeps piling up. It's overwhelming.
How are you feeling today? After yesterday, how does today feel?
Busy.
Lori chalks it up to growing pains because MESA is brand new. Long term, all of Renfrew County's agencies are going to have a role to play in this solution.
MESA, in a nutshell, it's this. If you can get police, paramedics, all the service agencies to build relationships with the people at the heart of this opioid crisis, then maybe you can find out where they are, what they're on, and what services each of them actually needs to get back on their feet. And if you can do that, maybe you can prevent them from dying from the next overdose. But that kind of work takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of empathy.
And the kind of person who believes that change is actually possible.
Put very simply and without getting into it, I haven't had a drink in just shy of 6 years. And I don't consider myself all that different from the clients that we're trying to serve. And I consider myself very fortunate. And that's part of my motivation for participating in this program. Understanding what I do about it, I can see how people end up where they are.
Sounds to me like you're taking some solace in the fact that you think what you're doing here is actually making a difference.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but she's not alone. Half a dozen paramedic teams are already paired up with social workers, and now OPP are on board too.
It has to be a community response. When I talked about there's nothing on my belt here that's going to solve addictions, there's nothing that's going to solve homelessness, but do we have a part to play as far as supporting members? That's our mobile crisis response team, that's those officers, now partnered up with Renfrew County paramedics, doing that outreach, getting these people connected to the right services. Hopefully. Will it happen the first time? Maybe, maybe not. Will it happen the 5th, 10th time? Maybe. All it takes is one time where they say, you know what? Yes, I need help. I want to accept this, and I want to start getting better. Why wouldn't we try something new? Because the answer is, if we do nothing, what's going to change? The answer is nothing. It'll just, the cycle will continue. So at least with the MESA program, which I'm a believer in, I think that will be a serious step in the right direction as far as how we can support individuals to get them help, get them treatment, give them a roof over their heads. I believed in that message.
Everyone we spoke to agrees. It's not just policing or housing or support that's going to solve this. First, you got to address the addiction, but kicking fentanyl, that comes at a cost. We keep hearing from people who tried.
Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, I want to lose everything I love and I know everything I own and everyone I know, and you know, we don't choose this life. It's almost like it chooses us in a sense.
What is it about withdrawal that people don't understand, that makes you want to take the drug again to avoid?
It's not you don't want it, you don't want it. You have to take it.
Why?
I've never been that ill in my life. I never want to go through it again in my life. And so I'm so petrified to quit, to feel like that again. I'm God already. I wish I could just go back. I wish I could go back. I don't want to be like this. But my body will kill me.
But in that moment of vulnerability, Lord,
tell me what to do.
Like, I feel everything about what she just said. Like, when you are an addiction, when you are an active addiction, you are terrified of withdrawals because you know what it's going to feel like. And that's a lot of the problem of of getting sober is just getting through those withdrawals. That's why I'm a huge advocate for medication assisted treatment. A lot of people just go through withdrawals. I couldn't do it. I'm not that strong. There's no way. I would have to have medication assisted treatment, which is methadone, where they will taper you down over a long period of time and eventually get you off. But you're constantly living in fear of withdrawal. Like always. Like you go to sleep and you're like, "Oh my God, if I sleep too long, I might wake up and be in active withdrawal, and then I got to worry about trying to score and do all of that while I'm in withdrawal." Yeah, like I wake up in withdrawal. Now I've got to figure out where I'm going to get my money, where I'm going to get my drugs, how to organize all of that, all while feeling terrible and being sick. So it sucks. It's seriously so awful. It's such an awful way to live. It's not a life. It's constant struggle. It's no way to live.
And it's good that we're watching this together, because that part was almost a throwaway part for me of that video. I would have called that filler material. Whereas for you, you're able to relate to it in some way. Whereas I'm watching it, there's a part of me that I don't know why, but it's impossible for me to not feel some of these people are doing this to themselves. There's still the stupid part of me that says, why don't they just knock it off?
Right.
And so and I understand that that's just simply not possible for some people. That genetics and behavior and life experiences plays a big part in a lot of these. It's all a cocktail of what's going on with their world. But it's hard for me. Like whenever I'm hearing her talk about all that, I'm like, well, if you just stop, you get away from all that. You don't have to worry about any of that. But it's never that easy.
Yeah. It's not, and especially with the new stuff, like some of the fentanyl and with the xylazine, like you go through withdrawals like within a matter of like less than an hour. Like some people have said like 20 minutes you start going through withdrawals, and I couldn't imagine that. You'd never be able to sleep because you'd have to dose. Like even imagine if it was let's just say it's every 2 hours, that you'd have to dose every 2 hours. Like you'd never be able to sleep. Like you never get more than a couple hours of sleep. And that's your existence that's just your existence. That's how you live your life. I couldn't imagine it. It's so terrible. Like I can't emphasize that enough. It's just awful. You might look at these people and they're like, "Oh, you chose it." They don't choose to stay that way. Yeah, getting high is fun and enjoyable, and it makes all of your other problems disappear from your mind. It doesn't make them disappear, but you don't focus on them enough or anymore. And it's great to be high every so often. That's the whole gimmick. It's fun, but that's not what they chose. They chose to have fun that one time. They didn't choose to continue on this horrible existence. And if Jane had made a comment, what did she say? That it's so hard to find. I know. It's medically assisted is so few and far between, and to get in and just getting high is so much easier. It absolutely is. And it's hard to find the places. Like I knew that there were methadone clinics in Austin. I had been told incorrectly that it was like $400 to start going. And there's no way I'm going to sit on $400 and go spend it on a clinic when I could spend $400 on drugs. Not that I would ever have $400 at one time to spend on drugs. It was usually like 50 or 100. So trying to save up that amount of money to get to the treatment. By the time you're saved up, you're already going through withdrawals. You've got a score. So you spend it all on drugs again. It's an awful cycle. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was my soapbox for today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And it's rough because like I said, you see the judges every day that are telling people, they treat it as a behavioral issue, not a medical issue. The judge is saying, okay, well, you got in trouble for getting in a fight with your spouse, so now you can't drink or smoke or do anything, take any intoxicating substances. And so
just dropping it like that is really hard.
Right. But they're saying, hey, turn it off like a switch, but but there's no resources behind it to back it up.
Right. And Lori had a good point. I wish I could understand chasing the high. I'm fighting the pain. So chasing the high isn't necessarily that. It's not necessarily chasing the high all the time. Like I could tell you, I didn't get high all the time. It was mostly maintenance for me. But I'll put it in a little bit of different perspective in the chasing the high. So I was an addict for like 7 years, an active full-on addiction. And the only time I would chase the high, like take enough to where I could actually get high, was just to escape that my reality was so bleak. Like I said, how terrible it is living your life as an addict. And she's the girl we just saw was crying because the fear of withdrawal is there. So that's your life every day for 7 years. Every so often, you're going to try to get high just to escape that is your reality. And that's where chasing the high sometimes comes into play. Like, you got to take more to get high, because sometimes you want to get high. You want to escape. The reason you got high in the first place is to escape whatever BS is going on in your life. Now you throw on the fact that you're probably broke, you're struggling, you're in addiction, so your life really sucks now. So yeah, you're going to try to get high to escape that as much as you can too. So that's kind of what they mean by chasing that. You got to take more to get high, but the reason they do that is because their life sucks so much, because they're an addict, and being an addict sucks. So okay, now I'm off my soapbox. Sorry.
Oh no, we're great. Did this paramedic lady say that she had an addiction 6 years ago?
I didn't catch that. If she did, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think she
Maybe
did.
somebody
I think she did, and so she kind of feels like she's kind of paying it forward type of thing. In other words, she was able to get off the addiction, so she's wanting to help them get off the addiction to save someone that was going through what she was going through.
Yeah,
So-
I wouldn't doubt it. She's got a lot of compassion for it, so it would make sense.
Yeah. I keep thinking about how dangerous it is out there on the streets. She's tiny,
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
but normally,
Right,
normally the tiny ones are the ones that'll beat you up first.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
All right, let's roll on that.
He sees an opportunity.
You want them on their worst day. You want them on their worst day where they're so weak, or just beaten down by their addiction that they're like, I'm done, I've had enough. That's when you want to get them, because I think personally that's the greatest chance for success, is getting them at that point.
And that is why she's spending an entire afternoon searching for a guy named Brandon.
Hi, where is he? I want to do what I can for his mom. She's asked for my help. So I'm going to make a phone call and hopefully find some information. Maybe we can find him. His mother explained to me last night he's getting sick. He's getting withdrawal sick. There's one solution for that, and he's not on the methadone program.
So we keep looking for Brandon. He spent last night at the hospital. Lori brought him there, and she knows the window's closing.
He's apparently dropped off where we were. Probably a pretty good chance that he's on fentanyl, and I really hope he's not, wherever we find him, if we do. I'm looking for Brandon.
He's gone.
Lori keeps following leads, tracking his trail, but by sundown, still no sign of Brandon, and Lori's not giving up.
My word means something to me, and, I want it to mean something to the people that we interact with. And if I can't follow through, it means nothing. They can't trust us.
There's a priority purple.
And then she gets the call.
Overdose poisoning.
Can you attach me to that, please?
It's priority purple, immediate threat to life.
Please, God. Oh my God.
And it's Brandon.
Brandon, I want to know that you hear me when I say your name.
The person she's been searching for all day.
Will you go with the crew when they come, though?
Brandon is Carrie's son.
I heard him trying to call for me. I went in and he foaming at the mouth and shaking, and oh my God. You never want to see your kid like that. And I get the vision in my head all the time now. Whoever made this drug, oh my God.
We can go anytime. Yeah, we're good.
Can you leave you at the doors?
Yeah.
We've been in Pembroke for 3 days now, and what we found here was a community at the end of their rope, trying a totally different approach, developing human connection. That approach, though, it's taking a toll, and for paramedics, it means long days
sleepless nights, and the knowledge that they're going to have to follow up on the same people day after day after day. Some of them might be ready to turn a corner, others might not, but everyone we spoke to said they feel heard, they feel seen, and when the time does come to seek help, they know exactly who they're going to be turning to.
All right. What do you think of that?
That was good. I liked it. I like that it shows the law enforcement side of it. I like showing those videos. Obviously, we've shown them with the last 3 episodes where we showed that law enforcement. I know she was a paramedic, but still that side. We got some good ones out there that treat people like actual human beings and want to be part of the solution, and I love seeing that. I love people. I love showing that people can treat other people as humans and not addicts. So anytime I can highlight that, I love it.
Absolutely. You know, Victoria's got to be vicious even in a vulnerable moment.
She's one of the little ones. You said that the little ones are the scariest ones.
Absolutely.
She's one of the short ones.
And she's the shortest. She is the shortest and the most terrifying.
Yeah, and Naybel, I'm so glad that you loved the stream. So this is what we're thinking. We're thinking Bill do the 3 o'clock after show, after the show, after show. That's what I keep calling it, the after the show, after show. And then me do the 8 o'clock time slot with Court Addict. If that's something you guys like, then that's what I think we'll do.
Yeah.
Waiting for response.
And yeah, and Debbie's saying that. Look, this stuff affects me because in the end, my brain cannot completely understand, what's going on there. I see the mom and I keep thinking she should have done something 10 years ago. She should have done something 20 years ago. But I'm also the dad of a kid who did it, and I never saw it coming.
Yeah.
It happens before you know it, and there was a hashtag. Somebody put up a hashtag that Naybel, we do recover. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And my son's a shining example of that. I talked to him today about whenever he smiles, whenever he smiled, he was hiding something. Whenever he smiled, that was his, I'm trying to get over on you look. And whenever he smiles, you can tell in other words, he's proud of something. He's proud of what he's doing. He's proud of what he's accomplishing. And that means a lot, to be able to see your kid smile and actually know that the kid smiling is because of accomplishment, not because of deception. And
right.
so it's working there. People need to stop making me work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, look, you want to do one more? Or you want to go?
No, we can do one more. That's fine.
Absolutely. So this is one. I'd mentioned to you a channel called Soft White Underbelly.
Oh yeah, I've seen this channel before.
Okay, yeah, and they do a lot of stuff.
They have great content.
Right, they do, and they get really, really deep on some stuff, and some stuff that it just to me goes to the level of inappropriate, but they're digging into it, and so they're trying to, expose stuff. They're trying to really show stuff, and there's some stuff I don't want to know about. There's some stuff that is just too. You know what? My world's big enough. It don't need to get bigger. So there's some stuff I don't know about. But this is one. It's called Lana.
Lana, not my puppy.
Lana, where are you from originally?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. And how long have you been down here in Skid Row?
About 5 years.
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you stay? Where do you sleep?
On Crocker.
Do you have a tent?
I normally have a tent with my husband. However, right now, I don't.
Where's your husband?
He's in jail.
He's in jail. What was he in jail for?
Possession.
Possession. How much time do you get for possession?
Normally, you don't get that much time. However, I think that they may be trying to go hard on him because he's had a couple cases before.
Yeah.
So normally, you could get out like the same day or a couple days later, but they're keep holding him for till November.
What drug are you using currently?
Heroin.
Heroin. And do you do meth as well?
Oh, we mix it together.
You mix it together.
Mm-hmm.
And you smoke it?
Shoot it.
You shoot it. Wait, what age did you start using drugs?
I didn't actually. Well, growing up, let's see, around age 13, I smoked some weed, from like 13 to like 20 something. Then I quit using drugs altogether. And then I got real heavy into cocaine for a while, sniffing it. Quit, no problems. Then I got into crack, and I did that for a good like a while. And then I stopped doing the crack and got into heroin, crystal meth.
How much do you spend on, what was your addiction cost, the heroin and that per week, let's say?
I'd say probably at least, let's see, at least $100 and something a day.
Yeah.
So you go 150 times 7 or 160 times 7.
150 a day.
160.
What do you guys do for money?
Well, I get a VA pension, and also my husband gets Social Security. So, however, I quit drinking.
They got you to stop drinking.
Yeah, I just chose hard drugs instead.
Yeah.
Yay.
And now, what's going on with your arms? You have bandages on both?
Yeah, these are from, I'm not sure what they're from. They said that they were from shooting heroin and my arms got infected. They're doing a lot better, but I don't think that's the case. I don't know what the deal is. They're like really big holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go pretty deep.
And how long have you guys been married?
Well, we've been together since well, we're not technically married legally. However, common law, probably.
And are you ever out in the street, like, taking up guys for money?
No.
You don't do that?
Mm-mm. No, I don't do that.
And what, do you have children?
I have children.
Where are they?
They're in Pennsylvania.
And who's raising your kids?
Their dad.
Okay.
I heard that my one son got into a car crash, and my oldest son, and ended up passing away. I don't know if that's true or not because I haven't talked to them in years. I'm too afraid to call and find out.
How old were your, or would be your kids?
They would be 20, like 22 and like 19. 22 and 19.
So you have a boy and a girl?
Two boys.
Tell me about your childhood.
My childhood was great. I'm an only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters. Mom, dad, grandma, aunt, uncle. My childhood was absolutely wonderful. I didn't go without. I didn't get beat. I didn't.
Do you have both parents?
No, I didn't. I pretty much was raised by my grandma. My mom worked all the time. But my childhood was wonderful.
And no addiction, no alcoholism, anything like that?
Well, my mom and my dad were alcoholics.
Oh, they were?
However, they still maintained a job. We still had everything we needed, got up and went to work every day. I mean, yeah, they drank and got messed up or whatever. We get, but, I mean, my mom would wake up in the morning and crack a beer as soon as she woke up.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, she would drink all day and night. The house would be clean. We would have breakfast, lunch, dinner. You couldn't even really tell if you asked me.
And you were drinking at one point?
I didn't get into drinking until I was in high school.
Right.
I started drinking, and that got I got carried away with that, and I drank a whole lot, too much.
And then you transitioned to harder drugs.
Yeah, I quit for a while, and I didn't do anything. I didn't do drugs or drink. I was completely sober. I went on that antabuse. I was on antabuse for like 3 years. And so for 3 years, I didn't get high. I didn't drink, nothing. I didn't like it, but I did it. It all went well, and then I just decided to start doing it again because everything was just so dull. It was. I needed something to just change the pace or do something different, and I was bored, and I needed a new feeling. I would wake up with the same feeling every day, same stuff every day, and I forget I'm just gonna start drinking again. So I did. Then when I came to California, when I went to California or wherever, I went to go to school to be a dog trainer, certified dog trainer. I did that, I didn't really go too far with that. I haven't done it yet, actually. I didn't finish the school because I injured my back. And that's how I met my husband. And my husband had invited me over to have a few beers. And I never left. We've been together ever since.
Did you ever talk to your family?
I don't have any family. They're all dead.
Your parents are gone?
Yeah, my mom, my dad, my gram, my aunts, my uncles.
Just your sons? You don't
And I think one of my children are deceased. I think, I'm not sure.
But you don't feel like reaching out?
I'm kind of frightened to do so because, I mean, first of all, how difficult would that be? My firstborn child passed away. I knew nothing of it. I was out doing drugs, drinking, partying, and I never even knew anything about it. Yeah, I'm not ready to handle that yet, no. So I haven't called to find out. I apologize. I mean, I know that's an awful thing to say, but I'm not ready to. Like, there's nothing I could say. So I can't. I mean, I could, but I haven't, and I don't know if I will.
In the next 5 years, where would you like to be? Do you have any plans?
I don't know. And then my other son, I'm like, even if I did reach out to him, I'm not gonna say, hey, how you doing? I fucked up. I'm still fucking up. I'm on the streets, you know? I can't do that. I mean, I could, but I don't think this isn't where I want them to see me. No, the last time they saw me, you know, I went into the military. I was strong. And now look, I can't do that.
Wow.
Way to mess up the mood, huh?
Yeah, gosh, we were in such a jovial mood beforehand, and then you just played that downer.
Yeah. That was sad.
That was very sad, and I'll talk a little bit about what Brecken asked. Brecken asked if my arms ever got like that, and thank God they didn't. But I wasn't doing anything. I was just doing the stuff that they have out now is way worse than what I was doing. That stuff really does eat through your skin and your system, and it will leave you completely bloody like that. I did have a few friends, or acquaintances, they were never friends, that had their arms wrapped like that because they had gotten an infection. They got like an abscess. An abscess got infected. That's very common when you get an abscess that gets infected, and that happens when you miss your vein. Like if you miss your vein and don't get all of the injection in it, or some people who can't find a vein, they just inject into their muscles. That's the easiest way to get an abscess and get infected and lose parts of your body. However, it did take my arms and my legs a full probably year before all of the scars and stuff finally disappeared. Like I had to wear long sleeve shirts. My husband wouldn't go out in public with me unless I was wearing something to cover my arms. Not because it necessarily looked like track marks, but because my husband is 6'5" and a really big guy, and he didn't like the way it would look if the two of us were out and I was next to him and I was covered in bruises all over my arms. Doesn't really look great for him. But they're all gone now. I have a few scars that I could point to and you'd notice them, mainly on my legs, but not so much on my arms. But you can't see any veins in my arms, in my hands, or anything. Like you can't, you look down at your arms or your hands and you could see veins. You can't see anything for mine. They're all gone. So, and yeah, Brecken, that I think the interview we just watched, she had MRSA, whatever caused her abscesses or sores. I think she also got MRSA on top of that, so that wasn't helping things. So, good night, Nan.
Good night, Nan. I cannot believe how much of a hustle Nan is. Nan is always at it.
I'm pretty sure she's a bot. Because nobody is that nice and also online as much as she is. I'm pretty sure she's a bot.
Yeah. I had
But
to
I like her. I like that bot. I'll keep it. Love it.
I had to throw our version of Tina in there in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I see it.
So,
That's funny.
that she wins the best Halloween costume ever.
That's pretty good.
Because I
It's pretty
can't
good. I love it.
can't see that cartoon or anything of that show, anything of it without thinking of her now. So, but yeah, the I think the part that got me on that interview was when she talked about the last time her family saw her, she was going into the military and life was good. And how does she talk to them now? She's messing up. You know, and just she may have a child that's not living anymore and she doesn't even know.
That's so tragic. But you know what? The kid would not be good in her hands. Like,
no,
I'm glad that the kid isn't with her.
No, but just to
That's super sad.
Yeah, but just to see she's in a position to where there's kind of no way back for her right now. You know, when he asked her, "What do you have planned 5 years from now?" You know, she doesn't have a 5-year plan. I've got all kinds of amazing stuff lined up for 5 years. I won't hit none of it, but I got all kinds of stuff. There's so many plans that come up, and you know, I won't. In 4 years, everything will be different, and I'll be planning on different stuff. I truly have to say right now, my goal for the next 5 years is my grandkids. That's about where I'm at right now. And so, but that right there, that's enough. That's enough to pay attention to health. That's enough to pay attention to, you know, making sure you don't do something stupid and end up in jail, making sure that your life is good. Because if you know you've got kids or grandkids or even nieces or nephews that are looking up to you, you got to be that example for them, because this world's rough. And if you're not going to be the example, you can trust somebody's going to be an example to them. Somebody's going to peer pressure them. Somebody's going to be there for them if you won't. And
right. And I want to be there for people who need the help or don't know that there's resources out there. So if you know somebody or need some sort of like resources, like I will help you look it up, send me a DM on Discord. I'll do whatever I can to point you in the right direction and whatever I can do to help. It's hard. It's hard to navigate.
And we're working on something. When Allie's ready to announce it, she'll announce it, but we're working.
I got something cool.
Yeah, we're working on something that it may be a really good thing for it. But hey, look, if you guys see something that's interesting that you want to see discussed on here, or you just, hell, maybe it's something you just want to vent about and you need an audience to be in the chat room while you vent about it, send it. And if it's something that's good, look, we can't play everything. I've got another 2 or 3 hours worth of stuff to play up here, and I feel I'm selfish taking up your time already. So just make sure to send it in, and we'll certainly do everything we can to play what we can. We're doing what we can, and we really want to have a good show. And we want to be entertaining for you guys. We want to be educational, though. Yep.
And Brecken, honestly, that right there, this is why I'm letting Scarlett watch this. That's the biggest compliment you could pay me. Like, honestly, that just hit me right in the feels, right in the heart. Like, that's amazing. Like, I love that you're showing this to your daughter to hopefully like show her what to avoid or how she can maybe help some of her friends that she might encounter in the future. Like, that's an amazing compliment. So like, all seriousness, thank you for that. I love you so much for that.
Yeah. And also look, I don't know how old her kid is. And so I try, you know, I act like I don't acknowledge the kid. You know, I ain't got no reason to acknowledge, you know, some little kid, but Brecken, make sure, because we're going to have adult conversations on this channel. Make sure that the kids prepared for an adult conversation. We're not going to do too much cussing, or, you know, we're not going to talk about certain stuff. But, you know, look, talking about meth, talking about cocaine, heroin, and all that stuff, that's a rough conversation sometimes. So, you know, you're responsible for your kid. You know your kid's capabilities, and you know your kid's maturity level. So just make sure you think about that. Look,
Brecken knows how to mom. She's a good mom.
Brecken is the mom. So Beverly's my neighbor, and I'm so proud to have her as a neighbor. Whenever I found out where she lived,
nice.
Whenever I mean neighbor, I'm not talking about like 2 houses over. I'm talking, you know, she lives in the next town, and it's neat just to know someone in the same town, you know, or know someone in the same state as you. So And look, knowing that Kelly is from Austin and you're from Austin, to me that I was like, oh, y'all should know each other. You know, Austin's so small.
You can throw Kelly a couple bucks to come over and smack me around. There you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, look, everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story worth hearing. Thank y'all for listening to Nitty's story earlier. I think it's really important to understand that some people get caught up in the system. There's good people that get caught up in the system, and they still have to navigate it just like the bad people that get caught up in the system. And so if you get caught up in the system, the best thing to do is play it by the book, play it by the rules. If they tell you to show up to court. If they tell you to pay this money, do whatever you have to do to pay that money. You don't have to worry about a mortgage if you're in prison. So if you gotta miss a mortgage payment, that lawyer is so much cheaper. That lawyer is so important. Don't get yourself caught up in trouble. And it's even easier if you just simply don't do things that could get you locked up. If you don't do things that could get you in trouble. Now in Nitty's case, I don't know the complete backstory. I know what his story is, and his story sounds really familiar to a lot of other people's stories. So there's no reason to not trust everything he said. And neighbors will call on you. Moral of the story: don't trust your neighbors. Don't assume that don't assume that
I don't know about that. I have great neighbors. It's not my fault you guys have bad neighbors. My neighbors are amazing.
I've got great neighbors. I've got great neighbors too. But if somebody called the police on me, I couldn't tell you which neighbor it was. But I know whenever me and my son were, going along earlier, I remember calling the police on him one time. He had to have been, maybe he was 17, 16 maybe. And of course, like a square parent, the whole house smelled like weed. I walked into the house that smelled like weed. And of course he was upstairs in one of the bedrooms smoking weed. And of course he thought it was just silly of us to be worried about it. And so I called the police because I was like, hey, y'all got to do something with him. Because, our daughter was really young at the time. And I'm like, look, he's not going to be here with her. We're not going to have this. And the police looked at us with our kid right there, with our son right there. They looked at us and said that we just need to figure it out because weed's not that big of a deal. And I was like, no, you don't understand. You'll have to be square.
But they shouldn't have necessarily done that.
But my argument was y'all got to be squares like us. If we say no weed, y'all got to come in here and say we're the weed police.
Yeah.
And
that's funny. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and supporting us and becoming members and just being here. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much.
Get some rest, Victoria. Get some rest, and we'll see you early in the morning at court, Victoria. 7:00.
Feel better,
be at
Victoria.
work.
And fingers crossed my internet works in the morning and you'll see me too. Because I woke up this morning and I was very angry that I woke up and didn't have internet.
Okay, so Allie's saying that she woke up late and she may wake up by 2 or 3 tomorrow.
If you see me, you see me.
Yep. See you guys tomorrow.